salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Announcement of the Sunshine Law. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, it is hereby announced and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the following. Posted on the bulletin board of the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin boards within the municipal complex, printed in the Home News Tribune and Cranberry Press on December 27th, 2024. Posted on the Monroe Township website and sent to individuals who have requested personal notice. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Lupo?
Here.
Mr. Masters?
Here.
Mr. Busman? Ms. Caratori? Mr. Tanzi?
Here.
Mr. Jaffe?
Here.
Mr. Cole? Mr. Jadis?
Here.
Mr. Vigani?
Here.
Chairman LaFata?
Here. Do you want to do that or? Kelly Carey's resignation.
You got it, okay. Are you announcing?
You can do it, it's all right.
Listen, I'm just announcing for the record that she is.
And just for board members in attendance, Ms. Carey has, I believe she's become counsel to the Affordable Housing Committee. So she has a conflict now in serving on this committee, so she has resigned her position. So we do have an open position on the board presently, and obviously open vice chairperson.
Okay, all members here tonight will be full voting members. You included?
Very good.
Okay. Madam Secretary, minutes of the regular meeting held for March 25th, 2025, please. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of March 2025?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please. Or you try to do all in favor? All in favor for approving the minutes of March 25th? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good. Mr. Masters abstain. Okay, first application, BA-5245-23, Matrix 2, Center Drive, LLC.
That application is ready, Mr. Chairman.
Step forward.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Walter Toto on behalf of the applicant, Matrix 2 Center Drive. This application was made at the behest of one of Matrix's tenants, that being Penn Medicine. 2 Center Drive is just up the road from here, and the purpose of the application is to propose a sign with a canopy. There's an upper and lower canopy. We'll get into the details of that. It extends about 12 feet out from the facade of the building. Its purpose, and I have a representative of Matrix here to testify to this purpose, is for visibility. The patients are, let's say having, I don't want to say necessarily issues with eyesight, but like all of us, we're getting a bit older, and visibility is important, and also for protection from the elements. I have the report of Ms. Apty from April 30th, 2025, and we're able to comply with that report. I also have 2 witnesses, William Rothplatz from Matrix and Mark Remza is our planner. A use variance is required for this canopy. Through a quirk of the ordinance, for whatever reason, canopies are not permitted. They're classifying what we're proposing tonight as a canopy, and it requires a use variance. We had first submitted as a bulk, but Ms. Apty rightfully called out the fact that it requires use variance, and that's why we're before this. So without, I should also note that we did provide an affidavit of service and publication.
And the board does have jurisdiction to hear the application.
Thank you, Mr. Pignolo.
You're welcome, sir.
And at this point, I'd like to call William Rothplatz. Will, you want to take a seat?
If you could turn that microphone on and slide it right over to you.
Hello.
There you go. Perfect. If you could raise your right hand for me, do you swear the testimony you're going to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address for the record, please. Put your hand down.
My name is William Rothpletz, WILLIAM and I live at 82 Rockaway, ROCKAWAY Road, Lebanon, New Jersey.
Perfect.
Will, what is your relationship to the applicant Matrix 2 Center Drive LLC?
I am an assistant project manager at Matrix, and Matrix is the owner of the building.
And your relationship, or Matrix's relationship, to Penn Medicine?
Penn Medicine is a tenant of ours at 2 Center Drive.
Okay, there's not much to put on the record here, but what are the hours of operation for Penn Medicine?
It's approximately 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday.
And number of patients they see per day on average?
You see approximately 90 patients a day.
Okay. And the general age of the patients?
On average, between 60 to 90 years old.
Okay. And have any patients voiced any concerns about finding the site or concerns about protection from the elements that don't exist at this point?
So on numerous occasions, we have heard complaints that it's difficult to find the building, as well as, personally, our office is actually located directly next to the Penn Medicine building at 3 Center Drive. We have had patients pull into our office, confused, looking for directions. You can see that they're lost in the parking lot and have even come into our building asking for directions. But more commonly, we hear complaints of people requesting protective coverings or some type of shelter when they're getting out, coming back into their car, or they're waiting outside to go into the building.
Okay, thanks, Will. Mr. Chairman, nothing further from Mr. Rothpletz.
Please proceed.
Sure. Mark, you want?
Thank you.
Good evening, sir. Do you swear the testimony you're going to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name, spell your last name, and give us your address for the record, please.
Mark A. Remsa, R-E-M-S-A, 10 Dewberry Court, Mount Laurel, New Jersey.
Mark, you're a licensed professional planner in the state
We'll
of
accept
New
his
Jersey.
credentials.
Yes,
We know
sir.
more.
Your license is still valid?
In good standing, yes.
Mark, give the board the benefit of your planning testimony for this use variance.
Yeah, so I'm going to hand out two items for you. One is an old approved site plan back from 1987. I put a red X on it to demonstrate which part of the building the Penn Medicine tenant is located. And then I have an oblique aerial view showing the building, and then I approximated with red lines where the canopy is going to be located.
Call those A1 and A2?
Yes,
A1 and
thank
A2,
you.
yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
And the second one, A2, was prepared by me.
Got it.
I would add that we did submit a prior resolution confirming that there was a site plan issue. That there was a question that was raised by the board planner as to whether this might be a prior non-conforming use, but there is both the site plan and we do have the prior resolution as well.
Thank you, sir. No.
And A2 is the aerial view that was requested by the board planner as well to show the exact location of the canopy and sign. Thank you.
And so the other thing, when I investigated the proposed use, also the Penn Medicine is a rehabilitation facility, basically helping the elderly rehabilitate their physical condition.
Correct.
So you can see the orientation on A2 in the background is Forest Gate Drive, and then we have Center Drive over here. And so you have to drive around Center Drive from Forest Gate and enter into the property, and then work your way through the parking lot to the end unit. And so just to give you some context, what surrounds the property is to the north is the Forest Gate Country Club, and that's across Forest Gate Drive. To the east is a stormwater management basin. To the south are more office buildings, and to the west are more office buildings. So the proposal is to add two types of canopies. If you look at A2 again, and you'll see there's sort of an opening, there's something that's called a porte cochere. It's sort of this protrusion out from the building. It may have been interesting back in 1987 to have that open, but the idea is to enclose the top of that porte cochere in order to keep the elements away from the patients. Essentially, keep the snow and rain out. And then the other idea is to extend out from the facade of that porte cochere, where there's currently a facade sign on the porte cochere, and extend out roughly 12 feet from that with a canopy structure. And then at the end of the canopy structure, the Penn Medicine sign would be located, facing the parking lot. So in terms of the variance, Article 10 of signs, Section 108-101A9, it prohibits, and this is under the sign part of the ordinance, it prohibits marquees and it prohibits canopies as signs. And so what's being proposed is a sign at the very end of the facade of the canopy facing the parking lot. So that's what's not permitted anywhere in the municipality. So in terms of the legal proofs, the positive criteria related to the special reasons for the intent and purpose of the municipal land use law are NJSA 40:55D-2, and then I looked at small g, and that's to provide sufficient space and appropriate locations for a variety of uses. In this case, it's a commercial use. The property's been used as an office complex since the early 90s. It was approved in the late 80s. It's currently used as a conforming medical office. The canopy will be identifying that medical office. So it's integral to the nature of the business. Small I, to promote a desirable visual environment. And so this proposed canopy will be complementary in its style and design to the building. In my opinion, it will be an attractive addition to the exterior of the building while providing the shelter from the elements. And then A is to provide to promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. And as we heard from William and also from Walter, the idea is to provide protection from the more elderly patients from the elements. Site suitability. Well, we must demonstrate the site's particularly suited for this proposed canopy with a sign. The property has been used as an office complex for over 35 years. It has a compliant medical office. The location for the proposed sign faces the interior of the parking lot, so there's no visibility from the public space. And my understanding is the intention of prohibiting canopy signs is to avoid proliferation of signage, limit the number of signs. But in this case, it'll be the interior of the site and is used to identify the location of the Penn Medical Facility as well as provide the shelter. And the placement of the sign can easily be accommodated on the site. It is not going to impede any pedestrians traveling to and from the parking lot into the building. Negative criteria, we have to look at, does this cause any substantial detriment to the public good? Well, when I looked at this, the focus, of course, is on the surrounding properties. Adding this canopy with this sign will not have any detriment to the Forest Gate Country Club. It's not even visible from the country club. To the east, I see no negative impact to the stormwater management basin, nor to the south or the west where there are other office buildings. And finally, reconcile with the 2022 master plan. I looked at the goals and objectives. and that is to achieve a balance of land use types and maintain and enhance the quality of life of the township. I think this canopy will be complementary to the Penn Medicine facility, encourage appropriate commercial development in areas of population concentration. And again, I do not see the proposed canopy impairing that goal either. And then finally, the land use plan expressed concerns about high vacancies in the POCD zone. This is the planned office commercial development zone where this is located. The proposed use will provide the important feature to shelter the elements, shelter patients from the elements visiting the medical office building. And also in terms of zoning, while the signs on canopies are prohibited, I do not see any signage pollution visible to the public. This is limited to the Penn Medicine facility. So on balance, I believe that the use variance can be granted.
Nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mika, we're going to start with you, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ramsar. Just a couple of follow-up questions. Now that a previous site plan was approved, is it in your opinion that with the proposed sign, there are no changes to the approved site plan?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. And in terms of the sign, because it's a porte cochere or so to say, the covered, what's the material? Is that also cloth or is that a brick? And the only reason I'm asking is because the drawings that are submitted, sheet 6, it looks like it's a brick elevation over there.
Well, I believe the canopy is going to be some kind of tough fabric.
Okay, that's what I'm ensuring. And would you happen to know the colors of the sign and the canopy?
I believe it's going to be green.
Is it green?
Green or blue?
I thought a pen is blue.
Blue. It'll be blue because that's right. Penn Medicine's colors are blue.
And the sign would be complementary to that?
Yes,
whatever's there. All right. That's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark, any comments?
Chairman, I don't have any comments for the variance.
Thank you. Any board members have any comments? Mr. Lupo?
I want to ask our attorney a question. Is it possible, I don't have a problem with the canopy, I understand what it's for. But like for aesthetic purposes, I can see that there's a canopy or something similar, looks like a canopy. Let's say that's, I don't know, what would that be, Suite 1?
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
you guys come in,
Is that Bank of America?
and so everybody, say whoever's ever occupying the building, they want to do it too, and they put up an orange one, another one's supposed to have a pink one, another one. It looks like kind of like a circus. Can we have something like,
Well,
do we have something in
you
the
only have one
town
in
where
front of you
we
now,
can-
so if you had someone else come in, you could indicate to them that you wanted the colors to coordinate so that it wasn't, I mean, any one of these.
You know what I'm getting at?
Of course.
So
Absolutely.
you put up ones this way, the other, and you look
Yeah.
at this thing, it looks,
I think as an owner, we can represent that in the future, we would endeavor to be consistent with what may be approved this evening.
Right.
Sure.
that's fine. Just so it doesn't look like,
Oh, of course, I know.
Yeah, you don't want that
Circus is
visible
good.
pollution, right? That's what you want to avoid.
that's all.
Any other board members?
I just have one question as well.
Sure.
Was there any consideration of not putting the sign on the front part of the canvas, but keeping a sign mounted on the wall so that you don't set the precedent with regards to a canopy with a sign?
Well, all of the porte cocheres have a facade sign. None of them are put on the main part of the building. They're all on the facade that faces that protrusion that comes out. And putting a sign back away from the onto the facade of the building itself would not be as visible as it would be lining it up on all of the facades of the porte cochere. And only because we're putting a canopy extending out, the facade sign would be much more visible to the public visiting the site.
Okay, it sets a precedent, okay.
Lou?
Who maintains the material, the sign?
It would be the owner, the Matrix.
So if it gets ratty, it'll be repaired?
Absolutely.
Okay. I've seen them. When they
Yeah.
get old, they get nasty.
That's the other reason why they're prohibited, I think, Lou.
They get a little nasty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Understood.
Any other questions from any board members? Seeing there's none, I'll open this application open to the public. Anyone wishing from the public to be heard on this application, please come forward. Seeing there's none, I'll make a motion to close public portion on this application.
So move.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, board members, you have before you an application for a portico with a canvas canopy. Do I have any motions to approve or deny?
I'm making a motion to approve.
Second?
Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Mr. Jaffe?
Yes.
Mr. Jadis?
Yes.
Mr. Vagani?
Yes.
Chairman LaFata?
Yes.
Great. Thank you for your time this evening. Really appreciate it.
Next application, BA-5227-22, Royal Real Estate Holdings LLC. You're here for a final site plan.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Lawrence Sachs on behalf of the applicant Royal Real Estate Holdings, LLC. This property is located at 202 Mounts Mills Road and 490 Buckaloo Avenue. It's actually the corner property on Buckaloo and Mounts Mills, known as Block 35.07, lots 20.01 and 20.02. Properties in your R30 zone. If this board will recall, the zoning board did issue a preliminary subdivision approval of this property with use variance relief, which we required for density, and bulk variance relief. That was back in 2022. We're in front of you this evening for final approval with a few modifications to the plan, and those modifications were necessitated by the fact that the Middlesex County Planning Board required a right-of-way dedication, which basically changed the configuration of some of the lots slightly. And the extent of that right-of-way dedication, the original right-of-way dedication was roughly 535 square feet. It's now gone up to 1,622 square feet. So that necessitated a few de minimis changes to the size of these lots. And as well, we also had to make modifications to the stormwater management for this project. So we're in front of you tonight for final approval on this. I have one witness, who is Mr. Adnan Khan, who testified at the last hearing back in 2022. He is our engineer and planner. And if we can have him sworn in, Mr. Vignola, I'll have him describe to the board what the changes are.
Absolutely. And as I'm starting, just for the record, I did receive affidavits of mailing and publication from Mr. Sachs, and everything is in order, and the board does have jurisdiction to hear the application. And now, Mr. Khan, do you swear the testimony you're going to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please.
Adnan Khan, Khan. I'm the project engineer from AWZ Engineering for this project.
Mr. Khan, I believe you were qualified as an expert at the last hearing, Mr. Chairman, I think for both.
We'll accept his credentials based on the resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Khan, I know you were here, actually it was about 3 years ago, with respect to this application. And it took quite some time with Middlesex County to deal with the issue of the right-of-way dedication. You had to make some changes to the plan. If you can describe to the board what those modifications and changes are.
Sure, I'll just give a brief history between our preliminary approval and today. Again, Buckaloo Avenue is part of the Middlesex County road system, and they require dedication. Originally, when we lay out the plan and we submitted the application, the size of the dedication was about little over 500 square feet, based on the existing configuration of the street network in the area. We submitted the revised plans, the preliminary approved plans to the county, and the county made us, actually we spent about a year and a half chasing different, because the county doesn't have any records for the right-of-way in the area.
So they asked us to look into the corridor because there are some recent developments that happened in the last few years. So we have to pull up all those plans from different projects and try to figure out what was the right of way and where it should be. So finally we settled after, I would say, 8 months of laborious work. We finally figured it out, a layout that the county feels that is acceptable. So that right-of-way dedication increased from over 500 square feet to 1,600 square feet. Before, that dedication was only impacting 2 lots, actually 1 lot, the corner lot. Now the dedication extends to the 3 lots facing Bucklew Avenue. So the reason of these de minimis, and again, the preliminary approval that was granted with certain numbers, the lot areas, the lot widths, lot depths, front yard setbacks. So those numbers have changed because of this dedication requirement by the county. But again, those numbers change very slightly. It's not something that it's basically overwhelming numbers. It's very de minimis numbers. So any numbers that you see bulk numbers or bulk requirements that have changed, that we are seeking a variance again as part of this final approval, is de minimis and again because of the dedication. Also, what happened is after the approval, we start submitting the final plans, and of course we get the professionals review, both from CME and the town engineer's office, based on what we were going through the revisions. And we got a couple of meetings scheduled and a couple of review letters or a few revisions to the plans to address those comments. And I believe at this point we are at a position here that I can say that we have satisfactorily addressed 99% of the comments. And the major comment was the stormwater. If you recall, we are proposing 4 lots. Originally, when the preliminary approval was granted, we were proposing 4 underground detention systems for each lot. And one of the concerns raised by the board at that time is that will alleviate any future prospects of having any swimming pool or patio or anything in the rear yard for the 3 houses, or actually all the 4 houses. So we went back and we looked at it, and of course we got a very good input from the town engineer's office. And we looked at it at different scenarios. And one scenario that we came up with is for the 3 lots, lot 2, 2.03, 2.04, 2.5, we are proposing an above ground detention system. So that frees up more than 3,000 square feet of an area for each house that they can, if they want, they can build a pool, they can have patio, they can have other recreational items installed. So that frees up that space or limitation that the underground detention system had originally. So now we are, and again, those plans, I believe the recent plans that we submitted in September, they do have the above ground detention systems. However, after even that submission, we were still in contact with the township engineer's office. We had a meeting earlier this year, and there was another concept that was prepared based on the comment from the township engineer's office is what about if we combine the 3 detention basin for each house into 1 detention and connect all the runoff into that detention basin from the 3 houses, except for the one on Mount Mills that was 2.06. So we did a concept for that too, and we submitted to the board engineer. And we feel like that concept was not a really good concept because it requires a lot of easements, inter-lot easements, for each lot and everything. And plus, there will be maintenance issues and other issues too because it's one combined system that's serving 3 lots. So we went back again to the old design, and we basically have above ground detention system for the 3 house and underground detention system for the last house on Mount Mills. And again, as I mentioned, that frees up the space for other installations if the homeowner wishes at some later date. Also, what happened during this course of time is the DEP changed the regulations, and this project is classified as a major development. So during this whole process, the DEP changes its regulations a couple of times. And they have a very strict soil investigation criteria. So we have to redo the soil investigation for the entire site, which is very, very conservative approach. Even I think if I look at it in my professional opinion, this whole site is nothing but sandy material. Some areas where there might be a fill, I would say when they remove the existing house or existing septic system, they might have used the fill. And the fill, of course, was not the same material as the rest of the property. So when we did the testing, of course, the testing needs to be done in the area where the system is going. And we hit certain pockets that were not sandy soil. So draw of our luck, basically. So what we did is like we have to use the most conservative rates for infiltration. Even though, in my professional opinion, I think the soils at the site are sandy K4 type soils throughout the site, which permits up to 2 to 20 inches per hour percolation. However, since we use that limiting rate of the soil permeability, I think this project is overly designed. I mean, overly designed means like it's much better as far as the stormwater management that we are proposing for any equivalent site anywhere with those soils conditions. So between all those things that happened in the background, this is the delay that's caused. But I believe like after our January meeting with the board engineer's office and the plans that are in current shape, we complied with almost 99%. Of course, there are some housekeeping comments that we need to address. We need to get some permits. The county permit we need to get. Or one other thing that we did is also, I know like the sewer department requested us, because originally, if you remember in the preliminary plans, we were requesting easements, sanitary easements to run from the houses on Buccleuch Avenue to run in the rear yard and connect into the existing sewer main that exists on Mounts Mill. Unfortunately, again, draw of our luck, that sewer line ends there. So, but the sewer department didn't want us to do the easements on the properties for each lot. So now what we are proposing is we are proposing an extension of the sewer line from Mounts Mill to Buccleuch Avenue, all the way up to the last house for sewer extension and connecting each house without an easement or on any of the other houses. That, of course, requires a TWA permit from DEP, and which we have to start the procedure for that, and we will acquire the TWA permit. So those were the major changes in the time lag that happened between the preliminary and final.
All right. Mr. Khan, I guess some of the redesign changed some of the sizes of the lots, and let's just get this on the record. So lot 20.03 before the dedication was roughly 34,651 square feet. Now it's 33,826 feet. And of course, the minimum lot size was 30,000 feet, so that didn't trigger any new variance. Lot 20.04 went from 34,596.32 to 33,800.36. Lots 20.05 and 20.06 didn't change in size, and those variances were granted at the last hearing. The minimum lot width is 110.89 for lot 20.05 and 110.89 for minimum lot frontage for lot 20.05. And the minimum lot depth for lot 20.04, 197.98, and for lot 20.03, 195. There were slight reductions in the lot depth as a result of the right-of-way dedication. I know Ms. Apte in her report indicated that these were all de minimis variances or de minimis changes, didn't require any other proofs. Let's just go over her report real quickly because I just want to touch on it. So this, Mr. Chairman, this is a report of May 19th of 2025. We just get to the meat of this. Page 5 talks about the previously approved variances. We have the zoning table. Number 2 on page 7 deals with fencing. There are fences that are going to be removed, existing fencing, and no new fencing is proposed, correct?
Correct.
All right. Street trees, she had no issue with the type of street tree that we're proposing. And additionally, the revised plans indicate that the shrubs along the driveways are proposed to be a mix of dwarf English boxwoods and glossy abelias. She said that's satisfactory. She had no issues with the garages. She had no issues with the elevations of the proposed homes. And of course, we'll continue to comply with the affordable housing contribution. That was her report. I believe Mr. Razumovic's report, the last report he had was December 9th of 2024, Mark, am I correct? I think.
Yes.
Okay. I think you've covered most of the changes here. I know we had a question about the sustainability and the burden on homeowners, but we're going to provide O&M manuals for each property owner for the stormwater system.
Yeah, we have already prepared, and I think it was reviewed by the board engineer's office. And again, I think there is a comment that they should be recorded, which we don't have any objection to do that.
And there'll also be deed restrictions, if necessary, in any of these deeds that are dealing with the backyards. Although you've indicated that now with the additional square footage, they potentially could put in swimming pools.
That is correct. It's each house has approximately 3,000 square feet.
Okay.
That they can use or utilize for any such activity.
All right. Paragraph 5 of Mr. Razumovic's report on page 2, paragraphs 5A through G, we don't have a problem with complying with any of that. Am I correct?
That is correct. And as I mentioned again, like after this report was issued in December, we had a meeting in January, and we did revise the plans which were not submitted. But as I mentioned, like 95 to 99% of these comments are being addressed, and they will be, as part of the resolution compliance, we'll submit that.
All right. Mark, we have a phase 1. I don't know why, for some reason, you don't have it, but we'll get that to you. It was done quite some time ago, so that addresses, I think, paragraph 7. And Mr. Khan, paragraph 8 deals with just some changes revisions that need to be made to the plans. More Scrivener's changes. We can comply with all of that?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything further. I know it's been a while since we were here, but it did take quite some time with the county and with the change in the stormwater regs, but that's essentially our testimony for this evening.
Being you touched on Mika's remarks first, Mika, we're going to start with you.
All right.
Just to follow up, to make sure everything you heard you agree with.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for sounding boring, but a couple of things I do want to clarify for the record's sake. Mr. Sachs, some of the, the lot areas and the lot depth have changed, like it's de minimis, but, I know the testimony was given that it's the same variance. I just want to make sure the record is clear. So, for example, the proposed lot 20.05, what the board had approved earlier was 25,745.86 square feet, which has now become 25,745.05 square feet. I'm sorry, Chairman. Proposed lot 20.06, what was permitted was, or approved was 24,189.92 square feet. It has now become 24,189.57 square feet. Then for proposed lot 20.05, the lot width that was approved was 110.90 feet, and it has become 110.89 feet. Similarly, for lot frontage, for the same lot 20.05, it was 110.90 feet that was approved. It's become 110.89. Then for proposed lot 20.03, the lot depth was approved 199.43, and it has now indicated that it is reduced to 195 feet. And I believe that Mr. Khan testified that that's because of the road dedication. Then proposed lot 20.04, the lot depth was 195.93, that was approved, and it has now become 197.98 feet for lot 20.04. Is that correct, Mr. Khan?
That is correct.
So it has increased?
Yes.
Because of, okay. And then the other two have remained unchanged. So I just wanted to clarify for the record that things have changed. But again, for the board and chairman, these changes are de minimis, and most of them are because of the dedication. So from a planning standpoint, it is the proofs, I believe, that Mr. Khan gave still remain. Two other things I want to clarify. Regarding the street trees, we have no objection to what's being proposed. We just want to make sure the Shade Tree Commission, you have the approval from them?
I haven't seen any.
Okay.
But I believe the plans were forwarded to them.
Okay.
So we will work with them. If they have any comments or they want to replace any trees, we will work with their office.
All right. And that goes for both along the Mounts Mill and the Bucklew Avenue
Correct.
Road? All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Forgive me if I ask a question that you already answered, but I may have missed it. Monroe Township Utility Department, have you filed an application with them?
With who?
Monroe Township Utility Department, an application for water and sewer. Has that
We
been
did
provided?
submitted the application to them, yes.
And did you get any comments back?
I think the only comments we got was in the TRCC where they asked us, of course, like they need some conditions that one of the condition was to extend the sewer line, which we are showing in our plan. And I think the fees and all that stuff. So we still, as part of the resolution compliance, will address all those comments.
Okay. Thank you. The Environmental Commission, did you go before the Environmental Commission?
I'm not aware of that.
You know what, I may have a letter from them going back in 2022.
I haven't seen one. I know you said you did have a Phase 1 environmental, though I didn't see it as of this submittal.
Yeah, we'll provide that for you, Mark, that's not a problem.
Okay. So I find myself in a unique position here. You're in for final. There was a lot of drainage comments the first time. Your engineer has just gone through several meetings we had together to talk about stormwater management, and I still have some concerns. So first off, lot 203, you have an above-ground basin proposed with a spillway that is going to spill into lot 20.05 right through the area of where you indicated they could put their proposed swimming pool.
Yeah, I think we are providing an inlet there to capture any water from there. So I believe the idea there is and if there is any spillage, it will be captured through
So the plan I'm looking at has a spillway, has an outlet structure and a spillway that spills directly into lot 20.05. The basin on lot 20.05 additionally has its own spillway that's going to spill directly onto 20.06 right in the area where, again, you indicated they have usable yard and a swimming pool. I have a problem with that.
Yeah, we can add inlet or a trench drains there, like in case in front of the thing. So that's something that can be remedied easily. So, I mean, so that if there is any spillage from that area, that can be collected through the trench drain.
Mr. Chairman, if I can just continue.
Right ahead.
I'm not sure how we resolve that. Again, we had several meetings after the preliminary, and here we are at final, and we still haven't worked these out. I do have a concern with each property having its own stormwater management system, and the new NJDEP requirements of stormwater basin maintenance reporting to the township. So that raises some concern that the township stormwater coordinator would have to get maintenance reports from 4 different homeowners. So again, that's another concern I raise. Let's see. I mean, generally, on the other hand, I will say their system does meet the requirements of the new stormwater regs based on their design and the numbers. So, they are meeting that, and we have been meeting that all the way. It's just the uniqueness of the lots and how, like I pointed out, spillways of these basins are now dumping onto neighboring properties right in the middle of their backyard.
Mark,
frankly, that's
is this because of the easement they gave away, that it changed everything? Or even without giving up the easement, we would have still been in the same situation?
Are you referring to the easement
The right of way.
for the right-of-way? No, I don't, I'll defer to their engineer,
it's
but I don't see
nothing to
that.
do with
The right of way is irrelevant pertaining to this, so
Correct.
if our engineer has an issue with this, with or without the right of way, that's something that's gonna need to be corrected.
Yeah, one thing I just want to comment on is again, these systems are designed it's not something that every time it's going to rain, it's going to spill. The system is designed based on the DEP requirements. Like I say, it is designed for 100-year storm and reduction in 100-year storm event. So, and I think it's year 2023. About 70 years from now. So this is 2025. So so to 2023, because that's what I think DEP requires now. You have to design the system 70 years for the rainfall data that will occur 70 years from now. So these systems are designed, not overly, but designed based on those criteria. So if you have a storm like maybe Sandy or a severe storm that is beyond that, you might see some spillage. Otherwise, everything, the system, the volume it is it will contain within the system. And the outflow control structure is designed again based on the rates that are allowed by DEP to discharge into the storm sewer in the street. So this, and again, as I mentioned, the soils there, if you dig, we did probably close to 20 or 25 test pits throughout the site. It's all sandy soil, except for unluckily or luckily, whatever, we found those areas where we had the fill. So the soil itself percolates at a rate of about close to 20 inches per hour. So in my professional opinion, I don't see it's going to spill. Of course, it can happen if it's a very severe storm. So for that, we can always put some kind of a trench drains or whatever to capture that water. But it's not going to happen in any rainfall event, because these systems are designed to meet the runoff reduction as required by DEP.
Mr. Khan, let me ask you a question. In terms of these trench drains, so the concern, I think, of the board engineer is about the spillways that could potentially bring water to another site. If you put these trenches in, will that alleviate that problem? Will that act as another fail-safe to prevent that from happening?
Yes, we can do that, yes.
Right. And your design does comply with the DEP stormwater management regulations.
Correct.
Which did change, by the way, between the time
Couple of times,
They changed between the initial approval in 2022 and today. I'm assuming you can work with Mr. Razumovich to demonstrate to him that by putting in these additional trenches, that will alleviate any issues with respect to these backyards.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is, excuse me, Mark brought out that you've already had multiple TRC meetings. This was brought before your attention by the engineer, and you're coming here before this board for a final approval, and it didn't even meet what was spoken about. And again, the board wasn't there, but you didn't even meet that. So how would you expect this board to approve something that if you had multiple meetings and you guys didn't get together on an answer?
May I comment?
Sure.
You are right. We have multiple meetings, and every time we made the change, we always submit an electronic copy, and we get the comments back from the board engineer's office, and we address those comments. This comment, if I look at the report, I don't see any of these comments about the spillway. And one thing, again, I'm not saying that it's a valid comment. I fully agree with that, though. But this comment was never raised before today. None of the reports that we have. And then again, like, let's say after our January meeting, and that's the reason we had our January meeting, we had this design from, I would say, for a long time, for the last couple of years. Then in January, there was an idea that, okay, what about if we combine the 3 houses into one system? So we went back and we did a lot of effort going back there to work on that concept layout, which of course was shared. And again, we got the feedback. And one of the feedback, I believe it was through an email, was again what we need to do next. And again, when we compared the 2 systems based on the comment after January of this year's meeting, and the system that we designed, of course, we updated it based on the DEP regulations and based on those comments. And I believe, again, we will work with their office and we can address these comments. But again, I don't think so. It's such a big issue that the board has to wait to vote or to make a decision, because every time we made the change, and we send an email out and we wait for the comments back. Once we get the comments back, we address those comments. We send it back to them for review. So this spillage and overspill and this is the first time I'm hearing in this.
Well, that's why we have these meetings,
Yeah, no,
so things come
absolutely.
out.
I agree.
So let's let Mark finish his comments in case we have any other stumbling blocks.
Again, just for the record, this is my 3rd review letter. That comment goes back to the 1st review letter. Another concern is you have easements on adjoining properties for lot 203 as an easement on 20.03 as an easement on 20.05. Again, the concern is now you got a property owner having to get onto another property owner's property to do that maintenance. And 20.05 puts up fencing, getting into the rear yard if he has to do maintenance.
I believe that is again back and forth between our offices. I think that's been eliminated because each house is on a separate, they don't require any stormwater easement with each of the other houses. Let me just double check that before I confirm that.
Has any thought been given to downsize to 3 homes instead of 4? How we can accommodate our water problems? From an engineering perspective?
Well, we got an approval for 4, so
Okay.
we got a preliminary for
So
4.
then I guess we're gonna make the drainage work, right?
We're going to try to make the drainage work. I agree.
So how are we gonna achieve
Mr.
it?
Chairman, we have 4 individual property owners here. We've talked about this surface water and drainage water flowing across from one down across 2 other ones. If it gets built this way, now we have a property owner having an issue with the neighboring property owner over drainage systems that maybe got maintained, maybe not got maintained. What becomes of that? Is that going to, I'm going to have 2 neighbors knocking on my door, showing up at a council meeting saying, what do we do? It puts the township in the middle of this issue between 2 adjoining property owners. How do we make that drainage work better so that we don't potentially have 2 property owners fighting over stormwater? And
I agree. I agree.
So how do we do that? And if you got some ideas, I'd be glad to hear it. As far as the board, Mr. Chairman, I'm certainly willing to work with their engineer to get this resolved. From what I heard tonight, I think maybe we can get a little closer to get this resolved. So I'm.
So this is the only thing that we're stuck on with this. Anything else in your review letter that needs to be
They
addressed?
basically agreed to meet the other comments in my review letter. At one time, we talked about having a homeowner association out here. It's only 4 property owners, but, that may be a route to go. And I'll just throw it out there for our attorney. If I was able to meet with their engineer, let me back up. Should the board approve it tonight with the condition that we meet and work out this drainage, if it became like a homeowner association for the 4 individual lots, is that trigger coming back to the board? Or just for an HOA?
It depends on the language of what we say is supposed to happen. So if they need to create, stormwater management to your satisfaction, we can say, including the creation of an HOA if necessary. I mean, that's all it's not, but the board has to be comfortable with that being a possibility. If when you do your analysis and you figure out what the best plan is and the best way to have the maintenance handled, I would agree an HOA, while a little unwieldy, is better because you've got multiple people who are stakeholders trying to make sure the entire system's working, as opposed to just relying on each individual component, making sure theirs is, because you can get one person who doesn't, and then what are the enforcement regulations for the rest of the people trying to make sure the stormwater's running? So,
Mr. Chairman, I don't have an objection to, and I think that's not a bad idea. I think that eliminates that problem of what if somebody doesn't do what they're supposed to do with respect to the stormwater management system. So I don't have an objection to an association.
One question I have, let's say if we go towards that route, HOA.
Sure.
Then we still need separate O&M manuals or operation maintenance manual for each house, or it will be just one for an HOA kind of?
I'm not going to comment on something that we haven't seen yet. If you have one basin and it's one manual, and if it's an HOA, then it would be one manual.
Well, as you say, could you create one system that's basins on each one of the properties, and so it's a singular system with components on each property, and the HOA is going to be what manages those basins, because you're going to create an HOA to do something, and it's going to have enforcement rights over the basins. So I think you'd only need to have one reporting requirement at that point, which solves one of the other questions you raised, which was trying to get multiple reports from 4 different people.
Yeah, and
if that's what it becomes. I mean, I just want to ensure the maintenance of the system. Again, you designed it, it could handle the 100-year storms, but as soon as a property owner gets in there and decides to create some more backyard, the township's not looking over the fences, and the only guy who gets hurt is the neighbor downstream.
So, Mark, I understand the HOA aspect, but how is that going to stop the water from flowing over to your neighbor?
It won't.
Okay, what's the purpose of an HOA then if it's not going to remediate that issue?
The system needs to be revised.
Okay.
But if the revision now becomes more of a centralized basin, having one basin maybe for 4 lots, as opposed to 4 individuals, I just brought up that if we did decide to do an HOA, does that have to come back to the board? That may not be the answer. That may not. He may be able to design it with 4 individual basins that all work and are contained within each property. Right now, there's easements crossing other properties with it.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think what we can do, just to kind of summarize, I think Mr. Khan will come up with a trenching system, which hopefully will satisfy Mr. Razumovic's concern about the spillage that we were just alluding to. He thinks it will. Obviously, our system does comply, so certainly that could be a condition of any approval for tonight. And secondly, if a homeowners association is required, we're certainly willing to do that. It may not be required, based upon Mr. Razumovic's review, but it may be the prudent route to take. And that doesn't deal with the issue of stormwater management. What it deals with is ensuring, I think, that maintenance is complied upon with these 4, property owners. So.
That's understandable. We still have other board members that may want to be heard on this, so we're not going to say that's what's going to be done. But
yeah, I would just add that I just wouldn't want it to be conditioned upon a trench system when I didn't get to see what the trench system looks like. So we can modify it, but I wouldn't want to be locked into what the attorney just mentioned.
I'm not an engineer, so I don't profess to be.
So, does any board members have any questions regarding this application or what was brought? Mr. Tanzi.
Thank you, Chair. My concern is, you spill it onto somebody else's property, and from there it goes onto someone else's property. And if you go down Mounts Mill between 522 and 613, there's growth going on there that is beyond my own imagination. And what happens with controlling all the stormwater? Because, all you're doing is passing the buck off to one homeowner to another homeowner. There's a big retirement community back there. I mean...
I can give you the answer for that. If you look at the plans, it's not something that the water, like if it spills, it's going to go entirely on somebody else's property. It's not the way it's graded. What we did, it is at a common property line. We created a swale or a low point. So even if it spills, it's going to go towards the street. So it's not going to go towards their house. In other words, there's a swale like this. So if the water spills, it will be carried into the swale and it's going to go forward. What we can do and what the trench system that I'm telling, what I'm explaining is when we have this situation along the property line, only along the property line, nowhere else on their property, we can put a trench system along the neighbors or the lower side of that property line. So there is elimination of completely, like say if that swale gets filled up with an overflow. First of all, these pipes are solid pipes. So they are taking the water directly from the system through the pipe and tying into the municipal system. So it's not something that it's going to overflow. The overflow that I believe we were discussing is like if the basin itself spills. So again, when the basin itself spills, it's going to go in that swale. And if we put the trenching along the property line on the low side, then any spill, first of all, it has to be high enough to overcome that swale. And then let's say if anything escapes, there will be a trenching system that will capture that water. So you're talking about just along the property line. You're not talking about the entire lot.
That roadway.
Excuse me, that roadway needs to spill out to somewhere.
Yeah, it is tied into the city's, the township stormwater system. And wherever that stormwater system leads or discharges, it will just go through that area. And one other thing that I want to also make it a little clear is, based on the DEP requirements, there is a certain runoff that happens under current conditions, which let's say is all grass area or was a farmland. Under the proposed conditions, we have to reduce whatever is currently discharging by a percentage. For a 2-year storm, it has to be reduced by 50%. We are not allowed to go, or in other words, let's say if you're getting 100 gallons per minute discharge from the site, for a 2-year storm, we have to only discharge 50 gallons per minute. So there are check and balances in the DEP regulations. So we are reducing the rate that already the street sees from this property, which is vacant. So, and again, so that's the reason for this detention basin, to accommodate any impervious coverage that's happening on site, plus reducing the rate of flow from that site, from the existing conditions.
Well, I still see plenty of water coming down there. I've been down there and
Mr. Tanzi, just when you hit it and the red light comes on, don't touch the button anymore. Hit it. There you go.
I'm
Now
sorry,
just
yeah,
move your
okay,
finger.
I see it now. I've seen water flowing down there at 613, all coming down to Mounts Mill, okay? It's a running river there.
And you're absolutely correct. And the reason for that is because a lot of that area doesn't have a stormwater system, the existing properties. They don't have any system. So what we are doing is we are basically reducing the runoff from this site, from these 4 houses. So whatever currently Mount Mill sees the water from this side, it's going to be reduced further from the existing conditions.
Yeah, Mr. Tanzi, we have an obligation under the municipal land use law to make sure that we don't add any other additional water onto other off-site properties off of this farm, and we have complied with that. And
You may not be doing intentionally, but, okay, nature has a way of getting water to where water is already standing.
No, I understand that, but we have to retain the water on our site to make sure that it doesn't impact anything downflow on Mounts Mills. So, that's one of our initial obligations.
Okay.
Any other board members? Seeing there's none, I'll open it up to the public to be heard. Anyone in the public wishing to be heard or to speak on this application, please come forward. Yes. Come up, sir. You come right up here. You're going to sit right where the engineer is. We're going to shoo him away for a minute.
I'm going to swear you in.
Let's wait till you get up here, then we'll get started so we can hear you.
You settle in. I'm going to swear you in quickly, sir, just so any comments you might make are sworn. So if you could raise your right hand for me. Do you swear that any testimony you provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
And if you could state your name, spell your last name, and please give us your address for the record, sir.
Nathan Friedman, Friedman, address 206 Mounts Mills Road. All right, basically, of course, I'm right next to this allocation of a new development, so I have some concerns. I'll keep them as minimal as possible. I guess I'm addressing him to
No,
you.
sir, you're going to address the board.
Okay.
And if there's anything we need to do, we're going to go through the board and we'll discuss it from there.
Thank you. My driveway is 206 Mounts Mills. It ends at Mounts Mills Road, and from that location to the corner of Buckaloo Avenue, there is nothing. I assume the new 202 will probably come out along that strip somewhere. My question is, will it be roughly halfway, quarter way, just so I know how close it's going to be to me?
Counsel, before we go, do you have a map of what can we get it up on that easel?
Put up on the easel.
So we can also get the audience or whoever's here to see it as well? I mean, we have the equipment, we might as well use it.
For the record, these are the exact same plans that were submitted.
Yeah.
Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, my driveway ends on Mounts Mills. From my driveway to the corner of Buckaloo, there is nothing right now.
Right.
I assume the new 202 will be somewhere along that strip.
202 means?
Well, he's talking about the property address. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we have a driveway, we have two curb cuts for the two houses on Mount Mills. And I believe if this is your house, I believe the next to the east of our property. So
Yeah, it would be to the east.
Yeah, so you will be at least close to 150 to 200 feet away. Your driveway will be about 150 to 200 feet away from the first drive.
Sir, could you just hold that mic up so we can hear you? Just hold that button to turn it on. Okay, there we go.
Mr. Khan, if you can state again, how far will his driveway be from the closest driveway from this project?
Let me try to give him, it's.
How many feet is it from my driveway to Buckaloo, roughly?
To Buckaloo is, let's say, 240, it's about, I would say, 550 to 600 feet.
600?
Yeah, approximately, give or
The
take.
nearest one would be 200 feet.
Yes, the first
About a
driveway.
third away.
Yes.
The next question is,
Mr. Friedman, I'm sorry.
oh
You
yeah,
could
you
ask
should
the
speak
que-
into
Just use the
mic.
mic and we'll, use your peripheral vision, you'll
Right.
catch him.
You're right. The next question is, how close, forgetting driveways, will this development be to the side of my house? I have many rows of trees. I believe, I looked at my own deed and everything, approximately 7 rows from my house would be the end of my property. Just tell me if that looks,
Based on the
Correct.
survey, I mean, I'm assuming that this lot, let's say lot 19.03 is your property, I believe, based on this survey. So, I mean, the property, the applicant's property is a triangular shaped property. If you look at it, it's like this, it goes this. So whatever the trees on your property is, we are not touching that. We are not doing anything to that, and you have like this whole area. I don't know the square footage, but again, as I mentioned, about close to 200 feet, and then the closest point, it's about 40 feet.
30.
From 40 feet.
40
But again, to that edge, like the triangular edge.
yeah, it's like a pie, right?
Yeah.
So 40 feet would be the closest that one of those homes would be.
Yeah, from your property line,
To his side property line,
the
correct?
side
To
property
the
line.
side property line.
Right.
And how far is the proposed house to his house?
Oh, that I would say is more than 200 feet, I believe. It's about 250 feet.
All right, so it's 250 feet from the closest house that's being proposed here to where your house is located, Mr. Friedman.
All right. The last question, which I didn't even think of until I sat here, and I hear all the speculation about sewer, excuse me, sewer lines, drainage lines. Will there be any negative effect on the sewer lines from this development into the sewer line that I'm connected to, or a drainage problem?
Actually, we are making things better. Like if you look at currently, the sewer line ends on Mounts Mill Road at this point. This is the end point of the sewer connection. What we are doing is like we are extending this line along Mount Mills and to Bucklew and connect each house directly into that sewer line. So we're going to extend the sewer main.
So it really has nothing to do with my portion of that.
That is correct.
That's it, I'm finished.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
You're welcome. Anyone else from the public wishing to be heard, please come forward. Seeing there's none, I make a motion, I need a motion to close public portion. We have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Public portion is now closed. Any board members, again, do we have any questions? Seeing there's none? Okay, so we're gonna put it to a vote. Does anyone have any comments for yay or nay, or any stipulations? Okay, so.
Mr. Chairman, before you take a vote, I, just so the board is clear, we will agree to a condition that Mr. Khan will work with your engineer with respect to any, I hate to use the word spillage because it's not probably the wrong term, but any stormwater issues that might affect other properties in that detention basin. And secondly, if we need a homeowners association, and I'll leave that up to Mr. Razamovitz, if he feels it's necessary, we'll comply with that too.
Mr. Chairman, based on what I heard, I'm comfortable with working out the stormwater. But I have to add one more item with regard to the sanitary, the limits of the restoration, the paving. I would just ask that if you agree that the restoration limits to be determined based upon review by my office.
Yes.
Because I see you got some trenches, and I don't know if this is the final design, but I'd like to work that out. We may need full width paving, curb to curb.
Yeah, this is not the final, and of course, we have to get the county also to tie into this plan. So yeah, we will work with your office.
Mounts Mills Road is a township road, so
Yeah.
Buckalew, the county will dictate, but Mounts Mills, I'd like to see the plans. It may require full width, mill
For
and
the
pave.
entire frontage?
Wherever your sanitary is going.
Okay. Sure, yeah. We'll work with your office.
But we'll review that.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, again, I'm comfortable working out the stormwater as a condition of any final approval here.
Okay, so Mr. Sachs, before this board makes a determination, you fully agree with all Mark's requests and his what he's requesting, and Mika as well?
Yes, sir,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
and if we need to do anything other out of the ordinary, you agree to abide by it, correct?
We'll do it, yes.
Okay, board members, you heard that, Mr. Lupo?
Yeah, it's really a lot of back and forth, I was like this close, I said, only just these guys come back and let's table this, but, I'm gonna go with it, and I'm gonna approve this. Under the stipulation, I wanna be on record that this project does not go forward until this man over here, our engineer, approves everything, and that's the way it has to be.
Mr. Lupo, that would be, we certainly will comply with that.
Unequivocally, that's what it has to be. So I'd rather not have you come back and, and then we have to do what we have to do right now. So let's just get it over with. So it's my motion to approve this application under these terms.
Excellent.
And as far as even with with our planner, but I think you were okay with all that, Mika, right?
Well, unless something changes with how they change
Correct,
things,
correct.
then that's gonna trigger Mika, but they have to comply with all of it.
Correct.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second. There's a second by Mr. Masters. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi?
Yes, based on what was just said.
Mr. Jaffe?
Yes.
Mr. Jadis?
Yes.
Mr. Vagani?
Yes.
Chairman LaFata?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, good evening.
Now you get Mr. Toto again.
You're only allowed up here once a night, sorry. You used your turn.
You gotta plan better next time, Walter.
Okay, next application, while they're clearing out, just so you guys get ready, or ladies, BA-5250-24, Icon Electric LLC.
Okay, that application is ready, Mr. Chairman. Walter Toto, on behalf of Icon Electric LLC. Tonight, we are seeking a use variance for this site, which is developed with two buildings. It's currently the site of Icon Electric's contracting office. They're electrical contractors. Louis Duarte is the principal of both Icon and the owner, Domcrest LLC, but Icon is in fact the applicant. And what's being proposed tonight is a pole barn of approximately 3,200 square feet on what is essentially just over 3 acres of property. It's in the Rural Residential District, RRFLP, and pole barns are not permitted in the zone. Lou runs a very clean operation. I don't know if any board members have had the pleasure of visiting this site, but it is one of the more impressive sites that I've been to. I don't say that very often with a lot of my applications, but he certainly runs a clean operation, and it's pretty impressive what he's done on the property over the years. The pole barn itself looks literally like a barn. He's purchasing it from an Amish group in Pennsylvania. Mr. Chairman, I did send an email. I didn't tell Ms. Zaleski this, but I did send an email. We just saw a picture. We don't have a picture of the pole barn itself, just very non-colorful renderings. I'm not sure if we're able to pull that up, but it's not essential or critical to the application, certainly. But it's worth noting that in this rural area, the pole barn will look literally like a barn, and that's done on purpose. Lou is one that has a good aesthetic for keeping things in good shape, in good condition, and visually pleasing. We have both Ms. Apte's report and Mr. Razamowicz's report. We're prepared to address those. I have 3 witnesses. I have Louis Duarte, who's the principal of the company. Sharif Ali is our engineer from Amertech. And last but not least, Mark Remza, once again, to review the planning proofs, and to go over the planning proofs. So without further ado, and we did submit an affidavit of service and publication. Almost forgot again.
You're doing great. You're doing great. You caught yourself, Mr. Toto, and I did review your affidavit of service and publication, and the board has jurisdiction.
Thank you, Mr. Pignolo.
You're welcome.
So, Mr. Chairman, without further ado, Louis Duarte will now testify on behalf of the applicant. Yeah, Lou, why don't you come up and sit right here?
If you could raise your right hand for me, Mr. Duarte, do you swear the testimony you're going to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please, for the record.
Louis Duarte. Last name is Duarte. My address is 48 Hoffman Road, Monroe Township, New Jersey.
Lou, how long have you lived in Monroe?
Going now on 18 years.
And with whom do you live at 48 Hoffman?
My wife and 2 kids.
Okay. What's your relationship to the property owner, Domcrest? And Icon is, in fact, you're a principal of both companies, right?
Yes, sir.
And you and your wife are equal shareholders in those?
Yes, sir.
Smart man. So Icon operates its business from 31 Hoffman Road, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what type of business does Icon conduct?
It's an electrical business that does several commercial jobs, small industrial, some residential, but that's pretty much it. Just commercial work all over the state.
And Icon's been in business for how long?
Since 2011.
Okay, let's talk about, before we get into the need for this application, this pole barn, just with regard to day-to-day operations at the site. You have, is it 12 employees?
It ranges, yeah, anywhere
10
from
to 12?
Yeah, something like that, yep.
Okay, and how do things occur? Do the employees come to the site? Do your guys take vehicles to the jobs? How does it all shake out?
All employees have their own vehicles that they go from home directly to the job site. All material gets ordered at the end of the day, and all material gets delivered to the job site. So there's no stopping at a supply house, there's no stopping going to Home Depot. Material gets ordered at the end of the day, gets delivered to the job site. When the job ends, some of that material winds up back over there. So once in a while, if there's leftover, we'll deliver to the job site.
When you say over there, some of the excess material
Correct.
ends up back at 31 Hoffman?
Correct.
Okay. And how about office? What's the extent of the office there?
Office, I'm in there, I'm usually on the road going from job to job. I have my wife and 2 people in there that it's literally part-time. They're not there all the time. The other second person is also going in from job to job. He's like a project manager, goes from job to job, and then he comes in, does some paperwork. So mainly there all the time, literally 32 hours a week, there's one person.
So the days of operation, Monday through Friday?
Yes, sir.
No weekend hours?
No, sir.
And then hours during the week, 7 to 3?
7 to 3:30, sometimes 4:30, anywhere in that range.
But largely 7 to 3, but
Yeah.
on occasion you'll
Yes.
say to 4:30?
Yes, yes.
And who would be there until 4:30? How many employees? Including
That
you?
will be me or just the other guy, that's it.
Okay. So there are 2 structures on the property, obviously. Lou. One is a 1-story masonry structure. Is that where the office is located?
That's correct.
Okay. Any idea of the square footage of the office? I know Sharif has it, but it doesn't.
I wouldn't know. Off the top of
Okay.
my head.
And there's a storage building with an attached garage, existing. What is in the existing storage building?
So, extra vehicles that we don't need every day. Just some materials, just regular stuff that I operate with the business every day.
How many jobs?
Counsel, can I ask a question?
Sure, Mr. Chairman, of course.
If everyone's going to the job site, what are all the vehicles at his location for? How do they get out to the location?
Sure.
Say it again? I'm sorry.
If all your employees are going with their personal cars to the job site,
No, not personal cars, company vehicles.
oh, so they're going to your location,
They take a company
so-
vehicle home and then they go back and forth.
okay.
The company
So they're
vehicle
traveling
stay-
with company vehicles?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And then in the barn, there's extra vehicles. There's vehicles that we don't need every day. And if it's necessary, one of them will come by, switch it, and take it. For instance, a bucket truck or a heavy-duty truck that's necessary at a job. So they'll come in during the day, pick it up, and then bring it back.
So there might be occasional trips to the location to pick up
Once a
equipment.
month, twice a month.
So like a ditch witch, anything of that nature
No,
that's
no,
going out, or?
like a bucket truck, like a heavy-duty truck to deliver heavier tools or something like that. That won't fit in a small work van.
Okay.
Lou, what's the extent of the vehicles on site? Or in the company itself, whether they're home, whether they're at the employees' homes, whether they're in the garage, or whether they're parked outside? What's the extent of the vehicles that Icon owns and equipment?
How many? You
Yeah,
mean? How
yeah.
many? There's about 15 vehicles, 15, 16.
Okay.
And we
are
got
there-
some trailers and stuff like that.
And of the 16, can you break down what those vehicles are, what types?
Yeah, so they're the regular work vans, like a 1500, 2500 work van, the regular vans that you guys see out on the road. Then we have a regular pickup truck, like a dually heavy duty to haul a trailer. Then we have a bucket truck to reach light poles on a parking lot, stuff like that. Then we have enclosed trailers to hold stuff at a job site. If the job is starting off the ground and we need to take tools or equipment, this trailer will go to the job. Everything will be stored inside that trailer until our job is done. And that trailer will come back, go inside the building.
You have any Connex boxes on your property?
Yes, I do. Well, let's. What's your definition of a Connex box?
A container.
Yes. Because there's two. We consider the work boxes. Some people call
Those are job
Connex.
boxes. I'm talking a Connex
Yes,
box.
correct. Yes, containers. Yes, we do. Yes.
So Lou, what is the purpose of the pole barn?
Just to store extra material, extra tools, stuff like that, extra vehicles, just extra stuff. That's all.
Okay. Having said that, operations on site or with regard to the business are not expanding per se, but just the need for
Yes.
the pole barn.
That's correct.
Okay. And will you connect utilities to the pole barn?
Yeah, I would like to connect electrical if it will be possible to.
Okay.
Put some lights in there.
You're proposing a 12 by 50 loading area in the front of the proposed pole barn. Obviously, that's for loading, but what types of vehicles would be coming to the site?
Like a
Delivery
regular,
period?
like a regular box truck, like a 16-foot box truck. So when we start these electrical jobs, these commercial jobs, we usually have to buy lighting packages in advance. We need to purchase, say, I don't know, $50,000, $100,000 worth of lighting. So we don't send them over to the job site and okay, they'll drop off one piece, tomorrow another piece, another week another piece. I prefer bringing them over to the office like that. I know where everything is at, and I then store it until it's ready to go to the job.
And these third-party vendors who operate these 16-foot box trucks, they know and will know not to bring anything larger to the site, any larger vehicles to the site?
Yes, I make it very clear. When these deliveries come, it's usually, we call a supply house. By the time we call a supply house, you get in deliveries from FedEx, from Amazon. It just comes from everywhere, and it's the small trucks that you guys see out on the road every day.
Now, Sharif, Mr. Ali from Amertech has prepared the site plan, and he's showing 5 spots for overnight parking, which is not otherwise permitted. And I know from the 2004 resolution that Ultratech received, which I'm not sure was ever perfected, they agreed to not have overnight parking. But your request is to allow for 5 spaces, 5 commercial vehicles to be parked overnight if need be.
If it's doable, yeah, if it's doable.
Okay.
If it's doable.
Okay, Icon is the only tenant or user of this site, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're not proposing to lease any part of the property or the buildings or the pole barn to any other party?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, nothing further from Mr. Duarte.
Bring up your next
Yeah.
witness.
Sharif?
Yes. Can I move?
Yeah, Lou, you're good for now,
Thank you.
unless you're summoned. Yeah.
If you could raise your right hand, Mr. Ali, do you swear the testimony you're going to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please, for the record.
Sharif Ali, ALY.
Sharif, your license is in good standing?
Yes, sir.
We'll accept his
Thank you,
credentials.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Fire away, Sharif.
All right. So you see on the screen the cover sheet, sheet 1 of 2, and that is the existing. What you see there on the screen is the existing condition. So the site, from a site planning, it really there's not much for me that I have to do there. I was just put a bull barn of 3,200 square feet. Just about it. The existing parking lot in the front area, the access to the site, the 8 parking spaces, the landscaping. It's a beautiful site. If you go there, you will see it's well kept. Very proud of the owner. He's very, very successful, and we need more of this client be in town. Very, very successful people. So if you drive by the site, you won't be able to see the existing building because it's already screened. You have steep slope in front of the between the parking lot and the existing road. You have a fence. You have massive trees. So you probably get a little bit of the building as you come in or you're going east. You're traveling on the road, but once you get to the frontage of the site, you won't be able to see the building. As well as the storage building, you may hit the roof, but it's on much lower elevation. You probably, if you count each one of the contour line that you see on the map, you probably more than 20 of them. So the storage on the driveway takes a nosedive and takes you all the way down. So the site, there is a history there. It used to be somewhere around 9 to 12 acres. And back in '96, there was a site plan application. memorialized and approved back in 98 of cutting the site into 3 lots. Each lot 3 acres, because that was the zone in place, 3 acres. I have a strong belief that the area of Monroe there, when the site was developed back in 61, was the buildings that you see and the storage, they were probably back in the R60 zone. Because we never had, my recollection on a 3-acre zone was back in the 80s, and then it went up to 10 acres to stop people from building in that part of Federal Road and Hoffman Station Road. So what you see, it's a product of probably 1961. That's what you see on site. So in 96, and Mr. Remsen will probably elaborate more on that, the site was cut into 3 acres. So as a result of that, you have a list of 14 variances that we have on the cover sheet. Only 2 of this 14 that it's a new ones, all existing, pre-existing variances. So that's what we have out there. And obviously, the site is on septic and well, even though that there is a water line now that runs along Hoffman Station Road. So I'm not sure if the got the benefit of that, but I believe the site is on well. And you heard that at most will be 3 or 4 employees there. That trash enclosure happened to be in the front yard. That's a pre-existing condition. The parking spaces, same thing in the front yard, pre-existing condition. The building and the setbacks, the area, they're all pre-existing condition. So the 3,200 square feet will be placed on an existing gravel area. We are not cutting trees. It's just an open area that is being used for a long while, outdoor storage area. And the barn, you heard that whatever is outdoor will be inside the barn. So that's the purpose of the barn. So the architectural, before we get into the architectural of the barn, the ordinance, based on the requirement of, which be very, very close to what we have here, light industrial use, has a set of requirement. The end of the day is that based on the requirement and the square footage, the existing and the future square footage of the buildings will require 17 parking spaces. What's out there is 8 in the front and 5 around the existing storage building. And by the way, that storage building is somewhere around 4,000 square feet. The building in the front is about 3,152 square feet. Out of that, you have 752 square feet, what we call it, office. So, but to meet the requirement of the parking, back to the parking, what we did is that within a parking area, we added 4 more parking spaces. They're really not necessary because you heard the testimony that at most you will have 6 to 10 employees. They already have 13, but the reason we added the additional parking spaces, 1 for AV, 1 for ADA. So we figured that we'll add 2 more and meet the ordinance requirement, but they're not really necessary.
What's the size of the parking spaces?
So all the parking spaces out there from day 1, they're 9 by 18. So again, that's a pre-existing condition.
And the new ones as well will be 9 by 18?
And the new one will be running along the curb line. The existing edge of pavement will be 9 by 23. They're more like parallel parking.
Okay.
So that's as far as the parking, the breakdown of the building, and There is no need for additional landscaping with the exception the area to the, what would be to the west, there is a gap there, and we agree that to fill the gap with the same materials. The surrounding, most of the area, 3 acres, that were all cut back in the 90s, single family. The area to the east belongs to Middlesex County. So will be green and forest forever. So again, you know, the site is very well screened, and the operation there, you should go there. At any given time, you're not gonna see more than 2 or 3 cars parking there. Very, very quiet operation. And you heard the hour of operation is from 7 or 7:30 to 3:30 or 4:30. No work will be done during the weekends. So that's very nice. That gives more respect to the neighbors. Lights, what's out there, the lights around the buildings, and we'd like to keep it that way. To just show some respect to the neighbors and not to have that parking lot that you got a lot of lights, you know, and illumination there. And it works, and it's been working since the 60s. So we'd like to keep it that way. We don't want to add any more lights. So the bull barn, I wish they have a better name than that, but it's 40 by 80. It's actually a nice looking bull barn. Do you have?
We have it on the phone. I don't know if you want to enter my phone into evidence.
Listen, I need a new phone.
Lori, this is a crazy. Lori, you're not able to access emails and put it on screen, are you? Okay. There it is.
So that's the best that I get from.
Looks like white paper from here.
Blame the Amish for that.
Yeah, you can see anything.
Wait, where's that single page? Any sort of board you got a flavor of what we're talking about?
You clip it up there, they may be able to zoom in on it.
You know,
You can
yeah.
see it there.
Here, yeah, this is A1.
Sure.
Elevations,
Yes, sir.
A2 floor plan. Breaking my.
You want to pass it around?
No. Put it. Let's try to put
If
it
we
up
can
there.
see it, fine. If not, just pass it
We'll
around
pass it
real
around.
quick.
I don't think you will see it.
No,
Just pass it
You
around.
really have to
Here,
pass
let me
it
see
around.
this.
Pass it
It's
around.
like.
But we have it on the phone. We can pass the phone around.
Yeah.
If we get the
Actually,
phone,
we
we'll
have
keep
it
it
on
as
3
evidence.
phones.
No. That's. What's that?
We have it on 3 phones, so we can pass the phone around.
Chairman, while they're passing that around, 40 by 80 pole barn, do you have the height of the pole barn?
No, but typical pole barns that we did in town, they really don't exceed 28 feet in height. So we definitely be below that 35.
35?
Yes. So we'll, this is a plan we get from the Amish, so they don't show height.
Certainly under 35, Mark, and I think we're, yeah.
So less than 35
And you can
feet.
see
Less
that.
than 35,
Yeah,
yeah.
less than
To the peak.
35. And you could see that they're very, very conservative. They don't like to spend too much money on ink, and that's what you get. You know, it's very, very faded. It's hey, you know, save the environment, and that's what they are.
Press the Amish, send an email.
I am too. I'm not sure.
I don't
We're not
think
sure
they-
how that happened, actually.
That one we got it off online.
Mr. Toto, architectural plans were never submitted, right?
No, this is all we have.
Okay.
This is the floor plan, the proposed floor plan, and then the elevations. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
You going? keep going.
Yeah,
All right.
go ahead.
So,
Chairman, is there a second story on this, Sharif? Second floor, I should say?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. No, I agree. Mr. Chairman and Mr. Vignolo, if you, I'm asking the chairman and for a legal opinion. If I were to present the board just with a screenshot, just say that this is what we can present a colored photo for subsequent to the hearing, but this is just a quick pass around.
This will be Exhibit A3.
This is A3. I'm gonna need.
I'm so going through that right now.
Just,
Mr. Toto, you'll provide a copy of that?
I will indeed, yes.
Before the end of tonight? And go home, immediately send it?
Yes. The applicant consents.
If it comes up.
Oh, wait, we may be able to get it here.
Oh, my gosh.
This is ridiculous. Oh, wait, that's not a little bit back.
There you go.
There you go. Don't move, Mark.
You have to stand the rest of the
We'll
meeting?
take a recess, Mark. Stay there, please.
So, yeah, that's what we're looking for.
it's not the metal one. It's all made out of wood. You know what I'm saying?
So it showed there was a staircase inside. Is there a second floor?
Yes. So I was about to say that. So I do have second sheet of the architecturals, and it's showing the height too on that one. 13 feet is the. Oh, that one works. Yeah. So.
See the elevations?
So, Mark, yes, there is a second floor. The clearance on the first floor is 13 feet. On the second floor is 8 and 2 inches. So it's 21 feet. And then you have a very low roof, which looks like about 3 feet. So the total is somewhere around like 24, which is typical of bull barns. They don't really exceed 28 feet. But yes, there is a second floor. That one is much better. You can see it, yeah. There you go.
Yeah. That is
Not the first one. So pretty quick, the reason for, so as a result of that 3,200 square feet of a building, you will get 2 variances. One for building coverage. The building coverage, it goes from 5 in the existing close to 5, and we increasing that by 3,200 square feet. But at least we are removing gravel and we adding building, clean water, dairy water. And then on the impervious coverage is that we have 2,400 increase. So we shaved about 1,000 from the gravel, additional 1,000. So that reduced the increase from 32 to 24. But the end result on the impervious coverage, what's out there now, close to 31%, we're going to be a little bit above 32.4. So very, very minor. The area of disturbance is about less than 1/4 of an acre, which is a lot less than what the state roll you in a major stormwater development. And as far as the increase of impervious coverage, you heard me saying the increase actually 0.06 acre, which is less than 1/4 of an acre. So we're not into a major storm water requirement here and compliance. But the benefit of this here, we're taking dairy water and we putting clean water that comes out of the roof. This is in my opinion, this is the only 2 variances that came about from that bull barn. Everything else is pre-existing.
One quick question. Was the second floor calculated in the square footage increase for the pole barn? So your parking calculations based upon the footprint of the pole barn, not the second floor, correct?
Yes.
So you may need a parking variance.
Yeah,
You're not asked.
it's,
I want it to be a planner.
yeah, it's very tiny second floor, but yes, there is a second floor and there will be an increase, and there will be a need maybe for another 2 or 3 parking spaces. But again, you know, the testimony was given that at most you'll have 10 people coming in and the all employees. Nobody from the public is invited. There's no sale. This is just a typical contractor site, in and out with small vans. So there is really no need for more than like 12 parking spaces.
Sharif, will you submit a lighting plan ultimately?
The only light that we have is above the doors.
Okay.
For the bull barn, but we'd like to keep it that way, given that we're in a single-family area. And the parking lot has been in existence since the 60s, and it works. So our testimony also, we're talking about probably in the winter time, 3:30, we'll be shutting down, in the summer, 4:30. So there is no need for lights. There is a gate there, and I believe the gates, they close the gate. So nobody will be going there at nighttime
Okay.
or after dark.
Sure. Ms. Apty mentions in her report that we should confirm the height of the existing fence, the chain link fence.
Yeah, that's an existing chain link fence. It's 6 feet. It really cannot be more than 6 feet. Okay. That's what's out there.
And with regard to Mark's report, any issues? Can we comply?
Mr. Rosamowitz, as I indicated, that we're putting a pole barn for the most part on top of the existing gravel materials. We're not removing trees. We are replacing the dairy water for motor vehicle travelway by a pole barn, clean roof water. And for that reason, item number 3F, an environment impact statement shall be provided, and we'd like to ask for a waiver. Other than that, we'll work with Mr. Rosamowitz's office as far as the rest of all the other items.
So we're asking for a waiver from the
environment impact statement. One item also is that we may need to talk about that. Item E, 3E, concrete curb, sidewalk improvements along with the right-of-way dedication, road widening, street lights, street trees, drainage shall be installed along Hoffman Road. We would like to get a waiver from that. We, in the 10-acre zone, there is hardly you will see a curb in the 10-acre zone, and most of the 10-acre zone is one lane, and we'd like to keep it that way. So there is no sidewalks in the 10-acre zone, my recollection, in that part of the town. So we'd like to keep it that way, and I believe your board back in '04 agreed to that, and the money part, the contribution. I'm not sure if the contribution was given and Monroe cashed on that or not, but it was already given to Monroe, or that's what it says in the resolution.
But now we're asking for a waiver.
We're asking for a waiver. And as far as the right-of-way dedication, we need another 8.5 feet. So rather than giving a right-of-way dedication and reduce a lot from 3 acres to less than 3 acres, we'd like to do a right-of-way easement, because it's all a steep slope there anyway, and a fence and trees. So it will be very difficult to widen that road. But again, most of Federal Road, Hoffman, that part, Monroe Boulevard is only one lane, no edge of pavement, and just no curb, no sidewalk. As a resident, we would like to keep it that way.
Nothing further for Mr. Ali?
Let's bring up,
Yeah, Mark?
your cleanup batter here. Then we'll get to all the questions.
You could raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're going to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please, for the record.
Mark A. Remsa, R-E-M-S-A, 10 Dewberry Court, Mount Laurel, New Jersey.
Mr. Remsa, you appeared approximately an hour and a half ago and qualified as an expert in the area of professional planning. Have your credentials been detrimentally affected?
No, they haven't.
Super.
We'll accept his credentials.
Thank you. So I'd like to address Peter's question about the parking variance, because it's an important,
away,
important
sure.
item. The architecture shows it 16 feet by 80 feet, so it's 1,280 square feet. So I'm working off of Mika's report, let's see, May 9th of this year, and she calculates that I believe there's a requirement for 16 spaces, and it doesn't account for that second floor, so it would be another 1.6 if we round up to 2, so that means it would be required to be 18 spaces according to the ordinance, and it shows proposed 17, so yes, there would be a variance for 1 space.
I thought one of those spots would be an EV space. Is that what the requirement is? I don't want to
Yeah.
stop piecemealing her work, but it's showing 16 plus 1 EV.
Yes, so you get credit for the 1 EV under the current law. So, no, I'm just,
We're accounting for that.
Yeah, you're accounting for that.
Because that's 15 plus the 1.
yeah,
Yeah. So we're 1 shy.
so we're short.
Yep,
I just want to make sure you get what you want.
absolutely.
Absolutely, that's why I figured to address that straight up front. Yeah.
That could be a problem.
All right, so we've heard a lot of testimony about the proposed use, the description of the property. The history of the property does go back to 1961, back in the day when it was approved for manufacturing of electronic components. And it was used that way all the way up to let's see, I have it. 2004. Let me get to my sheet here that has the. Here we go. Yeah, April 27, 2004. The electronic component manufacturing was discontinued, and then it became another light industrial use. It was used for a heating and air conditioning operation, like a HVAC mechanical manufacturing. They fabricated ductwork and things like that. And now the proposal is for a similar type of contractor use. It's for electric contracting company. And yes, all of the variances that are associated with this application rise from the proposed pole barn. And Sharif talked about the small increases in the maximum lot coverage. The building is going from 4.94% in the existing condition to 8.34%, which is the proposed condition with the maximum building percentage coverage. And also the maximum impervious coverage is going from 30.7% to 32.4%, and what's permitted in the RRFLP zone is 10%. So there are these 2 slight increases. And then the third variance arising from this is due to the second floor of the pole barn, which would require the additional 2 parking spaces. So I'm going to now dive into the legal proofs, the positive and negative criteria. There are several special reasons that are promoted for the intent and purpose of the municipal land use law by this application. So the first one is NJSA 40:55D-2 would be C, to provide adequate light, air, and open space. All of the setbacks related to the proposed pole barn comply with all those setback requirements, and also provide the sufficient air, light, and open space around the pole barn itself. Next one is G, to provide sufficient space and appropriate locations for a variety of industrial uses. This is a light industrial use. The property has a history going back to 1961 being used as a light industrial use, and has continued to be so up to the current day. And the other one is to promote a desirable visual environment. That's I. And the proposal maintains the existing rural nature of the site. If you go to the site today and pass on Hoffman Road, you barely see the buildings. They're low-slung buildings. The property slopes away from the roadway, and where the pole barn is going to be located is going to be located several hundred feet from the road and won't even be visible to the public. And you heard Sharif say that the additional landscaping buffering to the, I believe it's the west side, is going to be added to add to the screening of the property. J, to prevent urban sprawl and degradation of the environment. So essentially, we're reutilizing a property that's already been developed for light industrial use, and we'll be adding a barn-like structure that will be compatible within the rural area. M is to promote a more efficient use of land. The storage is needed for the operation, and clearly continuing this light industrial use of the property for this contracting business will provide the efficient use of the land. Sharif described that very little is being changed. No trees are being knocked down to provide for that, and he's said that he's going to be reutilizing parts of the gravel area for the pole barn itself. And then A, given the foregoing factors, I believe it promotes the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. So the second part of the positive criteria is this site suitable to accommodate this pole barn? I believe it is. The site has been at light industrial use for a very long time, and the addition is going to be, it's in a rural setting, and I believe the pole barn itself will contribute to that rural setting, and there's really no change in the operation of the business itself, other than the need for the additional storage. There's no change in the days and hours of operation, the way the workers come to the property, storage of the certain vehicles on the property. So in essence, this is in addition to the storage of material on the property, but not changing the overall operation of the property. So the next one is the negative criteria. And first we have to look at, does this cause any substantial detriment to the public good, with the focus on the surrounding properties? Well, to the north is a residence across Hoffman Road. The residents will not see this proposed building because it's going to be downslope, and it's going to be buffered and screened by the existing buildings and the thick hedgerow that runs along the roadway. To the east, I don't see any negative impact to the preserved farmland to the east.
That's owned by the county?
the county has farmland easement on that, yes. Farmland preservation easement on it. To the south is woodlands. So I don't see any negative impact to the woodlands to the south. And then to the west, that's where we have the existing residents. If not with the additional landscape screening, there could be a slight impact of seeing a farm-like structure in the back of the building. But I believe that the combination of the architecture, the example you saw, plus the evergreen trees that are proposed will provide a reasonable screen and mitigate any negative impact. So the last part is to reconcile with the master plan. The 2022 master plan sets out certain land use element goals and objectives. And one is to promote industrial development in appropriate areas of the town. Yes, this is an RRFLP zone, but this property has been in a light industrial use for over 60 years. And I believe because it's such a low scale, low intensive type of light industrial use that it fits into the surrounding area. The other one is to promote the redevelopment and infill development. Well, we're actually continuing to reuse the existing light industrial property and doing so in a very sensitive way. So I don't see any negative impact to the master plan. So in conclusion, I believe the use variance can be granted, plus those 3 associated bulk variances for the proposed use.
Nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mika, we'll start with you, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to clarify a couple of things. So in terms of all the list of materials that's going to be materials and vehicles that will be stored on site, would the applicant, I tried to take notes as fast, but would the applicant be willing to give us the number of vehicles and the type of vehicles and the trailers and what did you call it? The connect box or whatever you called it? Yeah. All that will be provided? All right.
Will do.
Now, in terms of parking, as per the land use ordinance, there are 18 parking spaces as testified to that are required, out of which 5 will be used as shown on the site plan for the commercial vehicles that will be on the site.
Correct.
Right? So essentially the site is going to only have 18 minus 5, that many spaces?
Repeat that last part again, Mika, if you would.
So if there are 18 parking spaces that are required from the site, and 5 of those are forever used for the commercial vehicles on the site, is essentially how many parking spaces are you providing?
So that's only for overnight parking, if it's even necessary at all.
Okay, so during the day, those vehicles won't be parked there?
Correct.
Okay. So, and you would be asking for variance for commercial vehicles on the property, right?
Yep.
So that's another.
That's correct. You're right, Mika. That's another part of the, I think it would be part of the use variance or another use variance, another D1. Essentially.
It's associated with
It's associated with the use, but it is, you know, like in residential zone, commercial vehicles are not allowed to be parked,
Understood. So
so.
it's part of the existing D1.
So that's a variance, all right. There's no signage being proposed?
Louis, is there a sign on the property? No, the public doesn't come to the site. The employees know where to go. I think Louis knows where to go.
Okay.
No, all kidding aside, Mika, no signage.
No signs.
Yeah.
Now,
Just a street, yeah, just a street address.
yeah.
Yeah.
Per the site plan, where the pole barn is going to go, there were 2 trailers shown and the site plan indicated the trailers are going to be removed.
Yes.
But I did hear testimony tonight that there are trailers on the site that are going to stay. Can we get a clarification on that?
They're going to be removed.
Okay, so nothing is getting into the pole barn, there are trailers or anything of that sort?
No, the trailers will be removed.
Okay. The other variance, I believe what that was noted in my memo is because the loading area in front of the pole barn is going to remain gravel, it's not being paved?
What's out there gravel will stay gravel, yes.
Okay. But, I mean, currently there's no pole barn, so it is gravel right now, just as extended. But you're not proposing to edit that and make it a paved
We're
parking
not.
area?
Is that a design exception or another bulk?
I believe it's a bulk variance. Let me double check. Yeah, it says it's in the 9.1, which is the parking zone requirements. It says for developments other than single family, any off-street parking or loading area shall be improved with paved area. So,
So that would be the fourth bulk variance then. So yes, we acknowledge that.
all right. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm trying to follow along the testimony that was provided. In terms of the buffering that's being proposed along the western side, currently there's a single row of evergreens being proposed. Would you be staggering that? Because I know Mr. Ali said we might be compensating by adding a little more landscaping there.
That's a yes. It should be staggered. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would be working with our office to edit and provide some more landscaping there? All right.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Now, in terms of lighting, I know the testimony was given that there's currently building-mounted lights, and it works, but the parking is also being increased. So even if they're building-mounted lights, I'm sure the board engineer and I would like to see where the light is, falling on the site and where it is. I'm cognizant of the fact that it's residential and this is not going to be used, but that's today. It's a use variance. At some point, the site is always now going to become commercial, light industrial. We want to make sure the lighting, works.
So you want to see the lighting plan
Yes,
as proposed?
as proposed.
That's fine.
And which shows the new parking area as well as the pole barn area.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of parking sizes, the testimony was given the existing one is 9 by 18, but the new ones, which are essentially going to be the 4 spaces that are parallel along the office masonry building, is going to be 9 by 23. So they're not meeting the 10 by 20
Correct.
requirement. So that's variance.
That's correct,
Yeah.
yes. So that's number 5.
I'm not really sure if we have in the ordinance parking size for parallel parking, but the 10 by 20 is for 90-degree parking or angle parking. So I'm not really sure if it's going to be a bulk variance or a design exception, but there is nothing in the ordinance speak of that.
Well, typically, I believe the parallel spots are 10 by 23, right?
Standard, it's 8 by, I'll give you an idea. South Brunswick, they have 8 by 20. North Brunswick, they have 9 by 20. But for the most part, most of the towns out there, they like to see 22, 23, and that's what we happen to have. So talking about parking, we're not really adding pavement. We're not adding the 4 extra spaces. It's just going to be striped within the existing parking
I
lot.
think we should assume, for
So-
purposes of tonight, this is a variance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
it's
would
going to
agree.
call it a variance.
Because
But
it's, I
talking
think
about
it's de
parking.
minimis and it works and it's, go ahead.
Right. Talking about parking, so what's required 16, we added 2 more, right? So it's 18. What we have on ground is 17, and Mr. Chairman, you pointed out one thing about the AV. So we have 1 space credit for the AV. So we have 18.
No, with the EV credit, it's 17 spaces.
No, we have.
Plus 1.
Yeah.
No, we have on the plan 17 space. With the credit will be 18.
Okay. So is the variance off the table? You're sure?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Just want to make the record clear.
No, I'm telling you. So the existing out there is 8, and around the storage facility is 5. That's 13, and we are striping 4 more, and then we get 1 EV grant. Very simple math.
Okay, so
Okay.
take one variance off the table?
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Then, in terms of the other testimony that was given, that all these, I understand the lot width and everything that's existing or pre-existing nonconformity that was testified to. And I also heard testimony that the site has been used from 1960. So was it an approved site plan, or how are we calling it pre-existing nonconformities?
Well, probably. There was a 3-lot subdivision in 1998.
Okay.
So I imagine the board vetted it at that point, whether that was planning or zoning, I'm not exactly sure. In 2004, I don't know if that plan was perfected. I think that's the last time it was before the board. I'd have to think in 98, the board gave its imprimatur, so to speak, and gave the approval for everything that existed. Otherwise, they wouldn't have subdivided it.
Yeah, so I'd like to add to that. So in the resolution for 1998, it does mention that the facility, I guess there was a testimony given that the facility on the site was built back in 61 for electronic component manufacturing. So the site as exists is all pre-existing from 1961.
I think Carl Meyertens was the board attorney at that point.
Carl, yeah.
Okay, so all the driveways, setback and everything which are non-conforming, it's assumed that whenever you're saying 1998 was a site plan that was approved, right?
So it exists in 1961, 1998, the resolution recognized that, it's in the resolution. And the 98 resolution was for the subdivision itself, taking the large lot, cut it into 3 lots. So that's a 98 resolution. The 04 resolution, that was for a gentleman that he wants to have an AC operation, and I'm not sure if whatever was asked of him in the resolution was perfected or not. And one of them is the contribution for the sidewalk and the curb along the right-of-way.
Okay. So by testimony, we're going to assume that these were all at some point approved, right?
Pre-existing,
Yeah.
yes. And we don't have a copy of the resolution if you don't have one.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I just want to make sure the testimony reflects that and it's recorded that all this was previously approved. In terms of the fencing, is any part of the fencing in the front yard?
Yes, there is an existing chain link fence.
And that is 6 foot, right?
That is 6 foot.
So that's also a pre-existing nonconformity that was approved?
Yes, that was recognized back in 98, I believe, and in 04.
And the applicant intends to keep the chain link fence as is? Just
Yes, there is a gate, I believe, too, right? That's correct. There is a gate, and talking about lighting, so that's a reason that would they shut it as soon as the sun sets. They close the gate, they out of there by 3:30 or 4:30, and there is no need for lights out there. Nobody goes there anymore.
I'm
So-
talking about the fence.
But the fence too, it's part of the gate, yes, along
Okay.
the road for security.
I mean, I'll leave it to board, but typically, I mean, in a residential area, chain link fence is not something the township wants to kind of see. So along the front, if there is anything, possibility of looking at or maybe, making the fence that's more blends in with the residential area, is that something to consider? I'll leave it up to board because it's existing. The next is question on the refuse and recycling. Should I
I'm sorry,
continue?
may you say that again, please?
The next question is on refuse and recycling. That's going to be along the front yard, right? Right at the western corner?
As you get in, will be on the left side. That's an existing.
Yeah. how often are you expecting trash to be removed, and can a condition be made that it only happens during office hours, keeping in mind that,
Trash removal.
you know,
How often and what time?
yeah.
So
Can we dictate what time?
if they show up there once a month
Okay,
to pick something up, and it's usually around 9:30, 10 o'clock.
perfect. Thank you.
So when I did the site visit twice, the trash enclosure was nothing now. It was empty. And the testimony was given that 2 employees in the front, or 3 at most. So they only put a few hours and they leave. So most of the garbage, they take the garbage with them. So there is no really a household garbage or commercial garbage there. But as was indicated, maybe once a month on call. Yeah.
And last, Mr. Toto, if the board was looking at this to be approved, I would really recommend that the architectural plan be submitted during resolution compliance, just to make sure everything is on
Sure.
record and,
Just a couple of follow-ups. So
Yes.
the parallel parking ordinance is 9/23.
okay,
We have the citation. And the resolution in 98, which granted the subdivision because of the intensification of the use, because of the reduction in size, it grants a use variance in 98, and for all of the improvements on site as well.
okay, thank you.
Yep. Well, what else?
I just want to mention
the
the chain link
chain link
fence
fence.
along the road.
Go ahead, Mark.
It's there for security. It's probably there for a very long time.
Sure.
When I visited the site, I noticed that the vegetation is very thick along the roadway, and I believe a lot of the vegetation has actually grown into the fence. So it's kind of like part of the buffer. So if you were to remove that, you'd end up probably having to disturb a lot of the existing vegetation to remove the fence. I would say in this case, it's kind of well hidden by the, I understand the purpose of not having a 6-foot high chain link fence in the rural residential area. But in this case, I think it's so overgrown, it's really become hidden and part of that buffer.
All right, for the board's
So I just wanted to, give you that condition.
Thank you.
Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The electric vehicle space, is that existing or proposed? The EV space?
Proposed.
Okay. It looked like it was existing, that's all. And that's just EV ready, correct?
Correct.
Thanks. Regard to my review letter, May 9th, you pretty much agreed to everything, and we discussed the items. You didn't. Waivers, I have no problem with the waivers that they asked for. And with regard to some of these existing conditions, this application's been to the board a number of times over the years, as they indicated. Some of these existing conditions, they were there. The fencing, and the buffers that are along the front, they're minimal, but that's what's existed. I would like to see, though, some buffering to the adjacent properties. I know you have a note on the plan, and you've agreed to, meet with our planner.
Sure.
To fill in a gap, so to speak. But I'd like to see that just shown on the plan, wherever you're going to put the trees. If there's 2 trees, 20 trees, whatever it's going to be.
We'll show that, Mark. That's fine.
And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any board members have any questions? Mr. Lupo?
Second floor, what's your intentions there? No, just storage or offices possibly, or what?
Oh, just storage. Only purely storage.
And as far as utilities, just electric, no plumbing?
Just electric.
Just electric.
Okay, that was it.
Okay.
Any other board members? I have a few things here before we go. Any porta-johns on the site for workers?
No.
No. You gonna have a hoist in the pole barn to lift things up to that second floor?
No. So can I say something?
Of course.
Sure.
So in regards to this,
Just, you pull the mic closer to you, let's use the mic.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I want to say some things, but sometimes I hold myself back. So in regards to the second floor, if that second floor is an issue, I'll get rid of it. The only reason for the second floor is the aesthetics. I like how it looks. If that's an issue, I'll get rid of it right now. It's aesthetics. It's not your regular barn that you guys see. That is the only reason for that. It's costing me a lot more money that the wife doesn't know about. That's the only reason.
Now she does.
Are we on?
So does everyone else.
That's serious. And going back
Can we withdraw that?
to what about the fence situation, I agree with you 100%. I don't like that fence. I hate it. I hate it with a passion, but forget what I said. I would love to take it out and put some nice. So I'm going to try to do, if it's okay with you guys, to put it on the inside to try to hide a little bit more, like they mentioned. There is evergreens already growing on it and everything, and you really can't see it. But on the one side, it bothers me because I don't like seeing it there. It bothers me. So
Okay.
I'm agreeing with you on that.
Any propane?
No.
Any repairs are taking place?
No.
Any welding?
Any what?
Welding?
No.
Any fuel going to be stored on the property if you have all these vehicles or portable equipment? Nothing? Any generator?
No.
Any emergency work after hours? Do you have any of that? That guys might have to come to the shop to pick
No,
something
like I
up?
said, they have their own vehicles, so they go straight.
So they'll have everything on the vehicles. They'll need to
For
come
the
to...
most part, in case we have a real emergency.
Okay. I think from what we gather, we're going to bifurcate this application. Am I correct with that? Because no one's seen any diagrams of the building, footage, lighting, this, that. As Mika mentioned, this is a use variance, so if you leave tomorrow, the next person can come in and we don't have provisions in place for them.
Mr. Chairman, can we bifurcate it, but also have just make this use variance and preliminary?
I'm going to...
Mr. Chairman, you're the chairman, but you sort of not sure what, and we're looking to bifurcate. I mean, it's a pretty simple application. There's not much site improvements other than the pole barn. The lighting, they do have a detail of the light that they propose. I would like to see the location shown on the plan, but that's a typical ask of a site plan approval. Again, with some of the buffering that we talked about, again, that's pretty typical of a preliminary and final site plan approval. So not much is really going to change in between. So, but you are the chairman. So.
No, it's collectively done together. Mika, are you okay with lighting and everything that you've seen? As you said, if he leaves tomorrow, another company comes in, they don't have to put anything in. Is that correct?
I believe so, but like the applicant has agreed to provide us with the lighting, information, illumination. We just want to make sure there is sufficient lighting all around the parking areas that they're proposing.
So is that agreement that you'll
Yes.
meet any comments they have for further review if it moves forward?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. Yes.
Any board members have any questions before we go to the public? Good. Anyone in the public wishing to be heard, please come forward. Seeing there's none, I make a motion to close the public portion. Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, board members, you have an application before you. You heard from our professionals, you heard the testimony. Do we have a motion for yay or nay?
Make a motion, sorry.
Good.
Make a motion to approve, subject to our professionals.
Conditions? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Tandy, second. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Mr. Jaffe?
Yes.
Mr. Jadis?
Yes.
Mr. Vigani?
Yes.
Chairman LaFata?
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time this evening. We appreciate your comments,
Gotta hurry up and do
as always.
the discussion. I won't
Thank you very much.
Don't move.
Oh.
We're gonna go right to your extension.
Okay, thank you.
Application, well, you know what? You had two chances. You're out. BA-5231-22, you're requesting an extension?
I am indeed, Mr. Chairman, and on that application, we've had it's just an endless back and forth with Middlesex County with regard to the proposed sidewalk and how it'll connect with the adjacent property. We have cleared that hurdle, and right now, the only thing that my client needs to do to perfect the approval is to post bonds with the county, and I think with the town, and we need to provide proof of insurance as well. So we're Yeah, otherwise we expire, I think, in May of '25. We're asking for a 1-year extension.
You're asking for an extension to April 27, 2026.
Correct. Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
Okay, so board members, you want to put this to a motion?
We need a motion to approve, and then we need a motion.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the extension. So is there a motion to approve this extension?
Motion to approve.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Now we need a motion to approve the resolution for this. Is there a second?
Second.
You want to do a roll call, just an aye?
Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Mr. Masters? Mr. Tanzi? Yes. Mr. Jaffe?
Yes.
Mr. Jadis?
Yes.
Mr. Begani?
Yes.
Chairman LaFata?
Yes.
Thank you again. I appreciate it. 3 for 3. This is a night I'm going to have to etch in stone because I'm not sure this is going to happen again, but I appreciate your time. Hopefully the Knicks aren't down by 25.
Okay, board members. Oh, sorry, public portion. Anyone in the public wishing to be heard? Seeing there's none, public portion is now closed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good. Any correspondences? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, what resolutions we have? Memorialization. There is no resolutions to be adopted. Is everyone clear? Excellent. Thank you. It's on the record. Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next meeting, June 24th. Have a good weekend.